Well, Bill Nichols here, Bill Nichols TV. Let's get into the Phantom 4 Pro. All right, so this thing a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, came out of total left field, at least for me, and I know for a lot of other people. We were expecting to hear about the Inspire 2. Not many people saw the Phantom 4 Pro, including myself, on the horizon at all. And I have to say, so far, the improvements are pretty remarkable. So I originally was going to bring you an unboxing video of the Phantom 4 Pro on Friday, but I didn't want to just unbox it, not have any flight testing or be able to give you any feedback on kind of my first impressions with it. So I waited till over the weekend. I did some filming, which you'll see some filming during this video, and now I can give you some feedback on it. So really quick, I'm not going to do an entire unboxing on this because I did a Phantom 4 unboxing. The unboxing experience with this is exactly the same. 2 sets of propellers, your charger, your controller, your battery, bigger battery, your Phantom 4 Pro, an adapter cable, and that's basically it. All the same stuff, gimbal lock, all the same stuff that came with your Phantom 4, come with the Phantom 4 Pro. Comes with this little styrofoam case. Comes in a box that's exactly the same size. This says Pro on it. So there, unboxing out of the way. Let's talk about the improvements. So first, the first thing that I'll talk about is the battery. The battery is now 5,870 milliamp hours, about 9% bigger than the old one. It's white on the inside instead of silver. It's the exact same battery. You can use any of your Phantom 4 batteries in here, and you can use this high capacity battery in the Phantom 4. It's supposed to give you about a half-hour flight time. I didn't quite get that, but I did get more flight time, mid-20s to high 20s. The controller, essentially exactly the same, except now it's going to have dual band transmission, and we're going to get into that because it has definitely made a difference, especially in the set of flights that I did today. And now you've got the Phantom 4 Pro. So let's start from the bottom up, which means the first thing we're going to talk about is this camera. So the camera now is a 1-inch sensor. The sensor itself is 4 times larger in size, about a little bit less, but almost 4 times larger in size than the one from the Phantom 4. What that means is that you're going to have larger pixels that should be able to gather more light, and so you're going to be able to have higher ISOs, which is why this in photo mode can go to 12,800. You probably won't go there, where the Phantom 4 can go to 3,200. It's a 1-inch sensor. You've got a mechanical shutter in there now. Contrary to what people have been saying, or that they think that mechanical shutter is not for video, it's for stills. So when you're at speeds, shutter speeds that are below 1/2000th of a second, you can enable the mechanical shutter. When you're above that, from 2,000th of a second to 8,000ths of a second, you're on electronic shutter. Mechanical shutter has nothing to do with video. The video, what's changed now is that you have dual codecs, so you can encode in H.264 or H.265 at up to 100 megabits per second. You've got 4K at 60 frames a second in H.264. You have 4K at 30 frames a second in H.265. 1080p goes to 120 in 264 and 230 in 265. Initially, right now, what I would say is that I think the video is better quality. You'll see some flying here in a little bit. The camera has a variable aperture lens, so it's f2.8 to f11. It's an 8.8 millimeter camera with about a 35 millimeter equivalent on full frame. And you have an 84 degree field of view. So on the Phantom 4, you had a 94, so slightly larger than 90 degree field of view. On this, you've got an 84, so slightly narrower field of view. Same thing happened with the Mavic. And then the gimbal itself is basically the same. You've got some new flight modes. You can still shoot JPEG, DNG, so you can shoot RAW. Now going up from there, let's start on the bottom. We've got these 2 vision positioning cameras, then your ultrasonic stuff here. You have these 2 stereo vision cameras, and then in the rear you have 2 stereo vision cameras. So that's 6 cameras now. In combination with the front, gives you this new thing that they have called flight autonomy, where it's completely gathering data as it flies. It's building a 3D map, and that's helping it to make some intelligent flight decisions as well to help try and keep you out of trouble. I didn't really see that obviously engage while I was flying. It may well have. But so now you've got 2 rear sensors, 2 rear vision cameras, the 2 on the bottom, and then you've got these side infrared cameras. So not infrared cameras, infrared sensors. Important thing on the side obstacle avoidance, the side sensors, these work in beginner and tripod mode. They don't work in the other modes. So beginner and tripod is where these are enabled. And then you've got all of that, and the rest of it is basically the same. All right, with that out of the way, Let's talk about flying it. So I said earlier that the controller improvements are that it's going to have dual band operation, so it can go over 2.4 or 5.8. This was really obvious today when I flew. So I went out and I flew in an area where there's a few high rises or mid rises, like 15 to 18 story buildings, a building that's under construction with a full crane that's set up. I was over by another building and then flying in between some buildings. When I took the Phantom 4 up, I would sometimes get a weak signal transmission error. I would definitely get interference on the screen, like where the video would break up, like you're getting interference. And then there were just a few times where it was really slow to respond because I was getting some weak signal error. And I'm sure that this was because the buildings that were around in the all metal structures. So you'll see in the video that I show, there's this crane and I was doing some point of interest stuff around the crane and flying close to the crane. The crane wasn't in operation at the time. And that gave the Phantom 4, I won't really say problems because I didn't lose control, I didn't get disconnected from it or anything, but I definitely saw the signal strength go way down. Then I took this up and I didn't see the signal bounce from this down from full bars at all one time. And it was quite a bit of ways away from me. So with all of that metal, with the interference that I was getting with my Phantom, I had no transmission errors with this whatsoever. So the signal strength on the Phantom would get down to red where it was really bad. And this, it didn't even drop a single bar and it was instantly available. All of the video that it cached down to the phone was great. There wasn't really any missed frames. There wasn't any video that had dropped out, any interference, pink lines or weird, kind of transmission noise, kind of digital artifacting or anything. This was rock solid. So the other thing that I noticed, and now you can start seeing the video on this, is with this variable aperture and the tapping to focus, you can really focus as many times as you want and wherever you want in the scene as you're flying. Just as a point of reference, the video that you see, not ideal in my mind at all. And I'll tell you why. I wanted to fly the Mavic Pro, the Phantom, and the Phantom 4 Pro pretty much how you would fly them straight out of the box. So I didn't add any ND filters. I didn't do anything that I would normally do to get my shutter speed down to where I would like it. So for the most part, this was flying at about a 1/1000th shutter speed. And I was going in between 4K 60 and 1080p 120, taking the 4K down to 30 frames a second. But you'll notice at times that that it seems really kind of sharp and staccato in the movement. And if you notice some of the cars on the road, they're moving and they look, I won't say that they look jumpy, but they look really kind of mechanical, right? The movement isn't incredibly fluid or cinematic in some of this, and that's largely because, like when I was shooting at 4K 30 or 4K 60, normally you would want your shutter speed to be twice your frame rate. So at 30, you would want 1/60 of a second shutter speed, and at 120 or at 60, you would want 120th. 120, you would want a 240th. I couldn't maintain that because of how light it was outside. So even when I brought the aperture down, my shutter speed was still much higher. So that's why you get that kind of really mechanical looking video in there. But overall, the picture is superb. I'm going to do a video later on this week where you see pretty much the same video and the same photos coming from the Phantom 4, the Phantom 4 Pro, and the Mavic Pro. So in here as well, I'll show a couple of pictures here. So these were just pictures while I was up in the air that you can see of the area. It was a little bit hazy today. For all of this video, I have the color style set to none, and I have the picture style or the recording type, so I don't have it set to log or anything. It's just set to none and none. And then for white balance, I have them all set at sunny. It was hazy, so some of the haze that you see in the background was just environmental. But overall, the Phantom 4 Pro flew incredibly well. One thing that I noticed when I calibrated it, when you calibrate the Phantom 4, the non-Pro, you do your spin around, and then you turn it on its side and spin around again. On the Phantom 4 Pro, what I noticed was that there's a lot of gimbal noise when you turn it on its side, and it like the gimbal was fighting, to be in that position. So that's interesting. Filters, if you have filters for your Phantom 4, they will not fit on the Phantom 4 Pro. The Phantom 4 Pro camera, the barrel is bigger. It's actually about 2 millimeters bigger. I measured it because I'm going to have some custom ND filters made as a test. I'm working with somebody on that, so stay tuned. But overall, fantastic value. The fact that this thing has come out at where the Phantom 4 was, 7 or 8 months ago is astounding. They've really got, the process down. So I have to give DJI really, some really big kudos. They built a great machine here. So you can see from the video, you can get great shots. This was my first day out with it. All right, guys, so that's my initial view of the Phantom 4 Pro. I really like it a lot, especially after seeing the initial images with it and how well it was doing. I'm gonna have a lot more videos over the next several weeks showing you all the different new modes, showing you tripod mode, the different follow modes from spotlight to profile, all of that. So I'm gonna run you through every bit of the app. Another thing, if you're currently running the DJI Go app, go to the Apple Store, go to Google Play, download DJI Go 4. That's the new version of their app. It works with all their drones, and that's the one that's going to be supported moving forward. I don't know if DJI Go will be or not, but Go 4 is what you need for the Phantom 4 Pro, and it also supported my Phantom 4 and the Mavic and the Inspire just fine. So go download that, you'll have the newer app. And that's it, guys. Tell me what you think below. So are you thinking about getting a Phantom 4 Pro or a Mavic Pro or a Phantom 4 now that they're $999? Let me know below. Let's start a little discussion on this. I'll tell you that I think the Phantom 4 Pro is one that I'll pick up. I should be getting a 4 Pro Plus this week with the screen, and I'll give that screen a really big rundown, the controller with the built-in screen. So we'll give that a big rundown and go step by step through it. I will have a lot of tutorials coming up, so stay tuned. If you're not subscribed, subscribe now so that you get notifications. And a lot coming up this week. So today, the Phantom 4 Pro video. Tomorrow, there'll be a new premiere video. On Wednesday, there'll be a comparison between the Mavic, the Phantom 4 Pro, and the Phantom 4. That's largely going to be some video comparisons and some stills comparisons. And then on Thursday, will either be a Lightroom or a premiere video, and then we'll see what happens on Friday. So you guys have an awesome week. Thanks for joining me today. Subscribe if you haven't. And that's it. You keep watching. I'll keep making videos. Talk to you soon.